This is what I want to achieve from this program or product that I'm doing. So don't just go and say you're leaving it to chance. Chance will not give you the lead. So the reason for sales acceleration strategies is so you can have predictable. So for example, you run a business and you want to be sure that you have like 10 clients every month. The question is, what did you need to do? How should I go about it? So you're not aiming aimlessly. You're not going to sell medicine to people who are not sick and who have absolute zero need of your service. You need to be so intentional and be so focused about when you go about it. So you need this 8 acceleration strategy. First, set a measurable, clear goals. 2, come up with a strong data that could help you focus and pursue those you want to pursue. The third one is dig deep into what the pains are. What are my clients going through? What are the issues that they're battling with right now? And how can I help them? Now, the fourth one is build a quality pipeline. Let me go to the fifth one. In terms of building a quality pipeline, I did explain here's how. Understand market focus, always be prospecting, effective outreach. So find a way to just reach these people. How? Come up with a tracking engagement model. How do I track what I do? So I spoke to XYZ and he said to me, come back in 7 days. Are you sure you're not going to forget in 7 days? How many persons have told you 7 days or 10 days or 1 month later? How do you effectively track this? Now, effective outreach, you have to identify target buyers and build a list of prospects. You need to constantly be prospecting. Now, my tech guy gave me a review some weeks ago. Your social media seems to be gaining lots of traction. On LinkedIn, I have nearly over between 800 to 1.5 million impressions every week. It was a deliberate act. I joined 3 groups and I told myself, these groups are about between 50,000 to 100,000 in those groups. And I said, if only I can get just 10% of the whole group there following me or engaging with me, wanting to know what I do. So because I set this intention out or this goal out, what I do is every morning, every afternoon, every evening, I'm there. I'm not just posting my content. I don't want to be selfish. I also engage in other people's content. I inbox them. I'm asking them how is business. You posted a nice content. Wow. What were you thinking? What's the mind behind this? Maybe not necessarily anything, but to build engagement. Remember, human beings, we are all selfish. Everyone is all about what is in it for them. Now, if you want people to come on your wall and also engage, also go to other people's wall and engage. Now, step number 8 in the 8 acceleration strategy was build trust and credibility. There's no way, nobody buys from a stranger. Nobody do business with people they don't know. People always buy from people they know, they like, and they trust. Those are the people they deal with. So find a way to build trust and credibility. And I did give a few ways you can actually convey authenticity and build trust. One of them is focus on solution, not products. Listen more than you talk. Want to hear people. Validate their choices. So you don't go there and be arguing with people. And again, can I also tell you this? Stop arguing with strangers online. If you're doing it, stop it. You don't build authority. You don't build leadership that way. Stop arguing. Just respect people's opinion. All you owe everyone online is make your point of view known. That's your view. But don't go there and argue. I see some of my students argue blindly just to prove a point. The guy that is already on one side, I'm sure will need a miracle to move on to your side. So respect that boundary. But again, put forward your ideas and your thoughts. Use your client's language, validate their choices, provide value every time. And then we talked about social selling, but today is not about this. Let me move on to step number 6, set up multi-channel sequence in terms of how you go about this. Doda is we break this down in our last meeting. And when he comes up, he will talk about a lot of this. It has to do with the tech part, the funnel system. And then step number 7, we're looking at youth sales enablement and engagement to empower your team. Don't send people out to go do a work and then you've not trained them, you've not armed them with the knowledge that they need to be able to deliver. Then we talk about customer centricity equal profitability. All right. Then the last one was set up a solid tech stack. It was because of this last part that I asked my tech guy to show up here today so we can all look at how do we build a funnel. You know, when you find yourself in a space where everyone seems to be offering the same exact product or programs, I think it's a bit boring, or maybe not boring, it's energy draining. I don't know who can share experience in that you are in a market where almost everybody is offering the same exact thing and you're struggling with, how do I differentiate? How do I save my value? Oscar keeps talking about value, not price, but how many are we here? Now, almost everyone here do the same thing. How do I stand out? Is anyone here that shares with that? How have you been dealing with that? I need 2 persons who want to share their ideas before I bring in Ndoda. Any person who want to share, you are in a space where you have people who does the same exact thing like you. Carl, let's hear you. Julius from Tanzania, how are you?
So one of the things, and you've already highlighted it when you started, and I think I learned this a long time ago when I was still working in retail. One of my managers at the time used to say that, you know, there are many retail shops around, but what's going to differentiate us from the rest is how we serve our customers. It's our level of customer service. So I think it's how you emphasize the value of your product. It's how you emphasize the benefit of what you do over the price. Because I think when the market is saturated, a lot of us will instinctively want to compete on price. But what is important in order to stand out, I think the value of what you bring should be the differentiating factor.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carl, for that. Let's hear from Shimili Arena. Chipazu, let's hear you. Your hands is up.
Okay, Coach, thank you so very much for the opportunity. I'm in the network marketing space where I'm in an organization where we have a model, and the model is that, okay, you come, you give this particular presentation, and everybody runs on this. And the system is the same, the prospecting is the same, presentation is the same, everything is the same. But then everybody struggle, then you find out that there might be 1,000 people running on that same particular model. And out of that 1,000, you have less than 100 succeeding in that. And then you begin to ask yourself, 100 is a much, even 100 is 10% of it. So you might have about 50 people succeeding. And then what happened to the other 950 people? Because they are monotonously doing the same thing, and they've not been taught how to find themselves and be authentic and stand out. And then for me, you've given me that this is what everybody has done, but it is not been working for the 1,000 people. 50 maybe, but 95 other people is left out, and they're doing the same thing. And that is why I come looking for, how do I differentiate from myself from the rest of the 95 people? Even though we'll be saying the same thing, even though we'll be doing the same thing, what do I bring that is unique, that is going to make the next person listen to me? Thank you for the opportunity, Coach.
Exactly. Awesome. Now, I'm going to bring Ndoda in, and once I get him up, for me, I'm just continuing, or for the purpose of this program, I'm continuing on the sales acceleration strategy. And excuse me. And the goal here is that I want us to look at the tech and how it disrupts and how you can find a way. There are so many, I think on Monday or if you follow me on any of my social media, I'm going to be sharing about 8 different apps that you can do some certain things for free. You don't need money, like Canvas for designs. You have Zoom for online meetings. Some they have free packages that you can go for. So there are different apps I will be sharing, and then I just hope you learn from that. But we have someone here. I also have done a talk on free versus paid. It's good if you don't have the means to maybe afford anything to kickstart with a free, but obviously you cannot compare what you get free versus having to pay to work with someone, pour out or teach you some of their blueprint that they've used that have helped them. Okay, now once Doda is going to run this for the next 15 minutes. Once he's done, I will come back and then share with you guys today just a few snippets of what I want to do next week, because I don't want us to exceed an hour time. Still have a family to take out today. So Doda is going to be you for the next 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Please work within that time. And then I'll come back and then we'll talk about some of the strategies you can use to save value instead of price. Over to you, Doda.
Thank you very much, Coach. I really want to thank Mr. Areno for just giving me a starting point where he says, how do I not do what everybody else is doing? So how do I do differently? Because really we sort of share the same strategies and we expect them to work for all of us, and sometimes that just doesn't work, I'd say it all starts first with first understanding something that I think most of us don't understand, that the internet is not a mass media, platform, right? The internet is basically made up of millions of one-on-one conversations. It's not like TV, where it's just you speaking to 1,000 people, right? So that's the first thing that we need to understand, that in as much as we think that when I've got an idea, I'm connected to a billion people, I can just try and broadcast to them. Forget that. Don't think about broadcasting. Think about connecting. That's the first thing, right? And so once you get off that mind of broadcasting, you can now start to understand that it's about empathy. Connection is about empathy. It's about getting out of your own skin and your own thoughts and your own wishes and your own ambitions, and really asking the only question you need to ask in order to win in business, which is, who can I help? So if you can really ask that question, it takes you out of your own zone and it puts you in the other person's world. And you start to see, how can I be of help to this person? And the help doesn't have to happen when the person is bought from you. You need to think about, how can I help even when I'm posting? How can I make sure that what I'm posting is helping someone immediately? So that's the first. So the second thing I want to say is, in as much as I agree that I'm going to speak, I said to you, Coach, yes, I'm going to speak about funnels. That's because I'm applying your thing that says speak your client's language. But the truth is, funnels are dead, right? If you're still thinking funnels, you're not going to really get anywhere, right? And I'm gonna introduce you now to what works, which is called flywheel marketing, right? So, and I'm going to tell you what's the difference between, because a funnel, like it tells you that to put a lot of customers at the top, and then you get a few at the bottom. It's a wasteful concept when you think about it, because it's based on this idea of broadcasting, right? So now you need to think about the fact that everyone you touch, you need to try and make sure that you take them into, as in you give them as much focus as possible. So you're not looking at getting a lot of people, but you're looking at impacting each and every person you come across. Right. So now,
please, can you see the screen? I just want to be sure.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes. So now, what is the difference between what you've got in front of you, which is a flywheel, right? Is that instead of trying to put as many people at the top and getting a few at the bottom, this sort of lets you get the most out of each person that you find, in which in which sense do I mean? I'm saying that there's 3 things that you need to be doing online if you want to succeed in selling at least. 1, you need to understand that you need to have a way of attracting strangers who do not know you at all, right? And bringing them to your home online somehow. So you need to say, how do I connect with strangers that don't know me? And I bring them to my landing page, if it's a landing page, as my prospect. Then once these people are on this landing page, you need to ask yourself, how do I engage them? The first thing is, how do I capture them from someone who came to my page? Because according to Google, a person, when they come to your page, they take 30 seconds before they move on to the next search result, right? So which means that if you've already paid Facebook to bring them to your page, to your page, you need to then ask yourself, how am I going to make sure that in that 30 seconds, I get them to at least give me their contact information and their permission to speak to them? So by doing that, you're now turning them from a stranger, a one-time visitor, into a lead, right? You're turning that 30 seconds into 3 years, which is how long it takes for people to unsubscribe from a newsletter they don't like, right? So that's the first step. Now you've captured them into a lead, someone who said, but here's my contact information and you've got permission to speak to me about this product. So now we are in a position to now start engaging these people into people that feel like they know, like, and trust you enough to do business with you, right? So once you've done that, the idea is when you're now engaging them into people that are going to do business with you so that they can become customers from being leads. You have made them into leads first. Now you're trying to take them from being a lead into being your customer, right? And we said this is not wasteful. So this is not like a funnel where once you've got the customer, that's where it ends. You go and spend more money on Facebook to get a lot of strangers, and then you get a few customers, and then that's how you run your business. No, that's not how it runs. Here you say, fine, now this person has finally trusted me with their money. What is my plan to delight this person into a raving fan who's going to go and introduce my business to more strangers so that I've got a flywheel that keeps rolling, right? Every stranger becomes a lead, and every lead becomes a customer, and every customer becomes a promoter, right? So this is now how you need to do it. When you do it like this, you don't need to get 1,000 customers. You just need your first 10 customers, and they will take you to the rest of your customers, right? So that's the first thing. So I'm saying, forget the broadcasting mentality. Think about not wasting any lead. Every lead you get must get the maximum value possible from you. So what we do is we think of the internet as just a way to attract people to us. And then once they are here, we don't think of how are we still going to use the internet to engage these people. And once we've engaged these people and they've trusted us, how are we still going to use the internet to delight them, right? So that's where I'm saying most people, they've got it's like a one-trick pony. You just have one thing that you're trying to do. So it's like, if I may use this rather informal example, it's like someone like me who's still young, still goes to the club, and I go to the club and I think about how am I going to get as many girls to give me their numbers, you know? And I get as many numbers as possible, but I don't have a plan of what I'm going to do with these numbers once I leave the club. So it's almost like it's not going to work for me. So I need to figure out, once I've got these people captured and they're in my email list, what am I going to do to engage them? And once I've engaged them enough for them to pay me, what am I going to do to delight them, to make sure that they turn into these raving fans who are going to take me to the next stranger? So that's really what I would say you need to do if you want to do it differently, because what most people are doing, they just master one trick, how to attract. We can all pay Facebook to get as many people to our landing page, and we can somehow find a way to get them to give us their email. But if that's where your trick ends, you're leaving money on the table. So that's the question that I would say, that when you're thinking about your technology strategy, don't just think about how to attract. Think about, how am I going to attract? And once these people are here, how am I going to engage them and build that trust? And once that trust has been built and this person has started buying from you, think about, how am I going to delight this person? So it's only when you plan and chart all of this way before you go out and say, I'm out here, that you're going to win, because a person is coming into a working system, right? They don't get to a point where they get stuck or they get hidden or they fall through the cracks in your system. So that's what I would say. Be more holistic about your marketing, but it must all start with the question, who can I help? It must not start with the question of who can buy from me. You know, it must really start with, who can I help? Because that person, if you get to connect with the person that you truly can help, that's the person who is naturally going to become your raving fan, right? Because they've been helped by what you do. So that's pretty much, that's what I would give as my counsel, that be more holistic about your plan. Plan it from the beginning. This is how I'm going to attract, this is how I'm going to engage, and this is how I'm going to delight, right? In order to create a flywheel that is actually creating kinetic energy on its own and just keeps moving without you having to keep on going to find more strangers. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think I appreciate that perspective. Guys, I don't know if anyone have a question. Like when we talk about the tech part, and I did a
Thank you.
I did a keynote at Durban University of Technology recently, where I did a presentation on digital economics. And then I know the one thing that came out in our conversation was about what I've said earlier on. We're now in a borderless world, and we are all global citizens. And much more than that is the fact that everyone, it doesn't matter what product, what service, what exactly it is you are doing, everyone does have something that they can actually be engaged with or in that can actually be of value. It's all about, how do you take this stuff, amplify your value, take it online. Now, don't worry about if people here cannot see and appreciate the value. That shouldn't be the problem. Like he said, I knew in one of my sessions I did talk about the value trinity, where I talk about the value trinity still on the sales process is 1, empathize, 2, educate, 3, empower, and the third one, then launch. Empathize, understand with the people you're trying to reach. What are the problems? I think this principle evolves around whether it's tech, whether you're doing a silicon launch and all of that. It's all about getting to know who you want to. So I love the perspective you shared there. Social media is not about mass media. You have to be intentional about what you're putting out there and who you want to attract. Intentional maybe to create fans out there so people could just join or get to know you, or be intentional that I want to sell. So if that is your number one goal, then go all out. Find ways to create value that can make these people come to you, see what you do, and then buy in. I think someone is raising up his hands. Chivas Zubik, you wanted to ask a question or make a contribution? Let's talk.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Dauda for that concept of saying don't think of broadcasting, think of connecting. And I like the man's mindset that suggests of whom should I help instead of where's my customer. But then I have I don't think 15 minutes is enough for him to explain the flywheel law. Otherwise, my question is that it almost sounds the same thing to me. The concept is almost the same to me. That of the funnel and that of the flywheel. The concept is always for me the same. It's all about how do you attract leads. My question is, how do you get them excited when you get them into your flywheel?
Doda, can you unmute?
In order to answer you, I would have loved to dig deeper, to make an example that is related to the industry that you're in. That's why I was trying to understand your product as such, right? So let's talk in terms of you said you sell supplements, right? These are by supplements, these are gym supplements, like
it's food supplement. Anybody can take this. It doesn't have to go to gym.
Yes.
It's food supplement, it's supplement, healthcare.
So let me try to give you an example around the food supplement thing for all three stages. That is the attract, the engage, and the delight, right? So if you are trying to send people to your landing page and you want to capture them into a lead, right? So the first thing you're going to need is, how can you help them now without them doing something? That is, before they give you their information, what can you help them with immediately, right? So for example, so if you have something that says, I'm going to take this example from something that is usually said by Peng Joon, right? So he says that you could have something as quickly as you say, did you know that abs are actually not created in gym, right? Because I know you don't like to gym. So did you know that abs are not actually created in gym? They're created in the kitchen, right? So, and to prove it, I'm going to give you free my monthly grocery list that I use to keep these abs without ever going to the gym, right? So now he's giving you a simple PDF, right? That says that if you buy this stuff and you eat this stuff, this is what you eat in order for you to stay healthy, right? So this is something that now I'm willing to give you my email for if I'm that interested in getting those abs, right? So that's the first thing. So I've actually helped you already without you paying anything, right? So now, once I've got you at least on that level, that I've given you something and then you've given me your information, the next step is now, I can now, the same way that I've spoken, you said this 15 minutes is not enough for me to tell you about the attract, engage, delight strategy. That's when you're going to be saying, well, that PDF was not enough for me to tell you about the diet, whatever. But now I'm going to expand over the next 5 days. I'm going to be telling you once a day something that's going to be helpful to you, right? And in between you telling them that, you might even slip in a quick testimonial from a client of yours who was tired and not able to focus and eating wrong. And now they're eating right because they're using your supplements, right? So you're beginning now to let them understand who you are and the value of what you do, right? So you're using testimonials, you're using research from other people and so on and so forth. This is you engaging them. But what's going to happen is that this person is going to ultimately buy your product, right? And we all know that products, once a client buys your product, right, it's still a question of they need to use it right? And it's still a question of they need to stay motivated towards the goal that they're trying to achieve from using your product, right? So you can't just disappear now because they've bought from you, right? You need to say, I'm here. I've walked a lot of people through the same journey that you are beginning. And these are the pitfalls that I usually see. So this is what I want you to avoid as you're starting this, right? And this is what you can do to actually get yourself to the next, to make sure that you get to the finish line, So you got to be there with them. That's why I'm saying you need to get yourself away from the broadcasting thinking and say, let me think about one person. When they come in, they give me their email. What are the steps exact that I'm going to take with them from when they start to when they are successful? And you need to chart that whole line. And then you need to have communication that is designed to deliver at every step of that process, right? So don't just keep everything at I've sold, now you've paid me, goodbye, let me go look for more, which is how the funnel works. That's the difference between the funnel and this. But what you're saying is, I've already thought about even the problems that you're going to face because I've helped people with the same thing so many times. I know what lets people abandon the product. I know what makes people struggle and so on and so forth. So you need to give a forethought to all of those things and chart a way to help your customer throughout.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that. Does anyone have a question? I think we should be wrapping up. Any other person who might want to say something, or yeah? Please go ahead.
Ndoda, you know, I really appreciate the nuggets you've just shared right now. I don't know whether my mind works strangely or differently or what, but when you started speaking, in my mind, I had this thought that if you take a sales funnel, a typical sales funnels where you have the 10, and then at the top, and then in the middle you have the 4, and then at the bottom you have the 1, and then you turn it upside down, and you have the 1, the 4, and the 10, where you make sure that you deliver, you attract, you get that one client, and then that one client, when you attract, you engage them, and you delight them by your product and your service and how the whole experience, then they will bring the 4 people. And then after they bring the 4 people, and then you provide them with the same experience, you deliver on your products and your services, then they will bring the 10. And then the 10 at the bottom will start funneling in those other people. And then your 1, 4, 10 becomes your 10, 40, 100. And then perhaps it becomes the 100, 400,000, you know, and then it will grow like that. I hope that it makes sense, because what you were saying makes so much sense in my head, but I think I'm understanding it from the concept of an upside down funnel. But thank you very much for these nuggets. I mean, this is hectic. This is
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you very much. And I get what you mean. But what I was trying to clarify is the wasteful nature of the traditional funnel, right? So you could think of this as the new funnel. Let's say that way. So because the traditional funnel is about the fact that I have a monthly budget, for example, right? So every month I spend 2,000 to try and get so many leads from Facebook or from whatever, right? And I drill them down, and then I'm left with 10. I save that 10 as much as I can. When I'm done, I go and invest again in getting more strangers. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm not really, and usually the funnel in the traditional sense, the communication, the planned communication usually ends with the sale, right? So once I've made the sale, usually I don't have a ongoing strategy to now go into the delight stage, right? And once so which means if I don't have the delight stage planned out, I'm winging it, right? Whereas I've been intentional about the first 2 strategies. Sometimes even the engage strategy, most funnels sometimes don't even, it's like I've attracted you into this funnel, and then it has given you an option for my upsell and whatever. And then if you take it, the upsell, you take it. If you don't take it, you move on. And then after that, I'm no longer thinking about you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a traditional funnel. Yes.
Most definitely. No, definitely. I hear what you're saying. And I think also that's why I'm gonna keep saying that, you know, it always sounds so I think my mind interprets it in a very weird way. If you take that funnel and then you turn it upside down, that one person at the top who's normally at the bottom, and then you give them that experience, you know, you don't treat them like just a number, you give them the whole experience, and then you give them best experience. They're gonna turn into your promoter, and then they're gonna tell other people, and then those other people, when they get the same experience from you, then they'll tell even more people. So I look at this and I see what I look at this model and I see the whole thing and I understand what you're saying. But like I said, it sparks something in my head that is just so strange. I'm just gonna have to let it simmer in my head, just
Yes.
to understand. But thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you very
Amazing,
much.
amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, let's take the last question from question of perspective from Heather from Durban. Yeah, let's hear you. Question or
Hi, good
contribution.
afternoon. Thank you so much, Ndoda. I just wanted to just add value to the flywheel. In saying to Carl that with the flywheel, there's the continuous spinning of this wheel. And so the person only becomes the prospect only after you've done what you needed to do. But then you find that you would have 1,000 people that you would have put in the funnel, and 999 would fall through, but the one person would stay. But within the flywheel, you tend to be in the wheel, but then you continue the wheel until the person becomes an engaged prospect. Then it becomes a engaged or a delighted customer. So for me, I also had the difficulty in looking at how do you move away from the funnel experience. But what I experienced was that you move your client or your individual or your customer, you move them in the flywheel, in the circle, and the circle keeps on moving all the time. So let's go back to the fact that it's a circle. And also you don't step out of the circle. That's the other part. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Ndoda, for that.
Thank you.
It is one of the greatest models that we find in the sales and marketing space. And one thing that we mustn't forget is that these steps can be followed 10 million up to 1 billion times. And every time you'll be successful when you follow the steps.
Definitely, most definitely.
And just to add maybe to what you're saying, because I want to really drive this point home, but what really makes it, what's the difference that I'm trying to say between the traditional funnel and this flywheel? And the real difference is to say that, for example, Mr. Arena, when you introduced what you want, and I was asking, you said, I'm looking for a funnel. We're looking for a way, I'm looking for a landing page. We're looking for a way to capture the leads so we can be able to communicate with them, right? So what you're saying here, what we're saying is that have a full plan, a digital plan that is full. Don't just have a plan to leverage the digital to attract and capture leads, right? And then after that, you go all manual now. All of a sudden, you have to call the people one by one and talk to them and whatever. Have a full cycle to say that I'm going to leverage the internet to capture them like this. Once I've done that, I'm going to leverage the same automated email marketing system and so on and so forth to engage them like this, right? And then once I'm done with that and they are now part of my system, I'm going to maybe have a members whatever area that a person who is now in and they've bought from me is going to have access to help like this and like this and like this to make sure that they stay delighted. So now we are planning a full cycle of how you're going to leverage the internet to support your marketing, instead of just using the internet just to capture people. And then after that, you do not have a pre-designed process. So that's really where I'm trying to get.
Amazing. Thank you, Ndoda. Myself and Chief Azubike will engage. I already told him before when he told me he would like to have like either a website or a landing page, whichever, but depending on, so we will set up a time and then we should be able to understand his type of business and then know what type of tech can, or software, if I use that word, can to a greater extent help him. But just to wrap up our session today, I want to just give it a little kind of hint on what I intend to cover next week. And I'm sure some of you have really gotten value, if not all, from when we're looking at sales acceleration. In a nutshell, sales acceleration is just that exact thing you do to have a predictable revenue, to have, like, you can, to some extent, says, when I aim for more clients, I know how to go about it, and I should be able to get what I want. I may not get, if I say, okay, I need a 20. I may not get all 20 at once, but I know I have a clever blueprint in terms of how to go about it. And when someone says, no, I don't think I'm interested, you know exactly what to say. Or when someone says, I think I should speak to my wife, spouse, boss, you know the next line. Or when someone even objects and says, I don't want, you already have a line script to say, this is how I respond. These are what makes sales easy, and it is just what we call a sales acceleration strategy. Now, I began firstly by saying that almost everyone is offering the same exact service or solutions or products in the market. So you always get to find everyone do the same exact thing. What a lot of people are left with now, right now, what I call this ocean of sameness is, but how do I stand out? In what ways can I differentiate? So there's Coke, there's Pepsi. So there's that handy washing, whatever, there's this other brand who does the same. There's Jive, there's Apple, so how do I stand out? Now, the thing is this, we cannot just continue to say, if we cannot sell based on product differentiation, what you need to do is to find, how do I take advantage? So Coke or Coca-Cola sell the same thing. Pepsi is the same taste. In fact, how do you know? If you were to visit me today and I maybe open Pepsi, pour it in a jar, in a glass jar, remember they all have the same color. And then when you come, it's already in that jar that I need to pour into your glass without telling you what it is. You will drink, and I'm sure very, I don't know how many people can be able to have, after drinking Pepsi, would say it's Pepsi and not Coke. Or for example, someone close your eyes and just pour the drink and say, have a sip. And once you do that, it takes the stuff off your eyes and asks you, can you guess what brand it was? And maybe because you see the black, or is it charcoal, what color it is, you just say, it is Coke. This is what we mean by sameness, or being in the ocean of sameness. Now, when you find yourself in a space where everyone does the same thing you do, what you are left with to explore is value. And I know a lot of people get confused every time we talk about value, and people don't even understand what really is this value. I've worked so hard, I've done this. Actually have 6 I want to share, but because of time, I'm just going to do or give you, let's say 3, if that will help. Now, what you need to focus on, like I said, is value. The question again is, what is value? For me, this is where you have to make a difference in this market thing. So everybody offers same thing. Value is the thing that now differentiates you, not your logo, not your, whatever it is, the name of your own company or product or whatever. As long as it is the same thing, you go to Virgin Active or you go to Planet Fitness, they are all gym services, they provide the same exact thing. Whether you take Uber or you take, what's the other one, Bolt, or you take InDrive, they offer the same thing. So how do you differentiate? The first thing you need to do is provide your customer with insights. Someone says, when you look, you see, but when you look with your eyes, with your mind, you get insight. Insight is that takes care of, how is it this person doing this? How did this come about? What is making these things working? Provide insight to the client. Remember, the client that wants to take on coaching, there's so many people offering coaching. I'm not the only coach in town. There's so many other people. But the question is, how do I stand out? So I provide my client with insight. I give customers sufficient information that they don't know about coaching. So I tell them maybe the difference between coaching and mentorship. I tell them the difference on what they should look at for who the type of coach they should work with. Does it align with what you do? Does the coach have the necessary experience? Do you think that this coach knows or understands your background or knows your journey? So it's not just about having a coach and then a coach shows up and poop, what else? There are things you need to factor in before you make the buying decision. So for me, I said, provide your customer with sufficient information. That's what you call insight. Point number 2, give the customer new perspective. So what are the changes around your space? What are no, you need to give this person a new point of view from what he already knows or what he came with or what he's heard. Provide your client with new perspective. Here I said, show them a new way of looking at the market for what they really want. You don't have to be stingy. And I think it aligns with what Dodo I just talked about when you're talking about doing the flip part in terms of the funnel system we just looked at now. Engage them now. Find a way to arm them with better perspective even before they choose. So you want to buy a car. Okay, this car is good for XYZ. It's for family use. It's for this. Give them new thought sense. Help them to think differently or see things differently, view the market differently. Don't be selfish. Don't hold back. Point number 3 is help the customer explore other considerable options. You can tell them, like sometimes I tell people, and people come to me and they said, but your coaching program might be so expensive, or might be this. There is XYZ who offer maybe a cheap one. There's XYZ who is there. Give people, don't hold back. Don't think because you tell them about competition, you will lose the business. No, give value. And let me just take you to number 4. Help the customer avoid making bad decisions. Tell them what to look at for. So they don't, at the end of the day, go for this guy. And at the end of the day, the guy doesn't give them the service. You don't have to come to my company to get website done. You can do website anywhere else. We have a guy that does our designs. You don't have to work with us if you just fee. But you know what? We tell you what to look at for. We help you so you make informed decisions. Now, help your customer, even if it has to, maybe at the end of the day, if you're dealing with someone that cannot make the decision himself, imagine you speaking to a man and you always want to go speak to the wife. Arm the person with so much thought sense and power that even when he's communicating, he knows what to say. Some people don't take this time to give this information. They give half-baked information. No wonder people don't turn up or even come back to you. They come to you to get information, and before you know it, they are buying from your neighbor. Why? It's not because the neighbor exists. It's because you just didn't provide sufficient value. And what's the last thing I want to give to you? Help them justify their return on investment. If you buy from me, or when you join my coaching program, one of the guarantees I give anyone is that you will be able to make your money back. You will get value. So it's not just about the coaching. We will expose you to other platforms, or other groups or community, just anywhere. We will expose you. So I have this coaching client who did a program I introduced her to do. It's an international program sponsored by the United States government. And somehow she joined. It was just go in for the program. That was it. But guess what? In between the program, she now found out that towards when they were about ending, there was a pitch for 10,000 USD. In fact, I just heard that it was raised to 20,000 USD. But that wasn't the part of go in for that program. It was just prepare entrepreneurship, learn how to go from idea to this, blah, 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 all of that. But at the tail end, they were given the opportunity to pitch their idea for 20,000 USD. So what I'm saying, I always give everyone justifiable reasons when you take or invest in my program. You will have return on investment. That's what you do. And again, there's no sufficient time to do all of this for today, so I'm just going to cap it here. At the end of it all, it's all about this fundamentals. One, provide your customers with enough insight. That's all you need to be able to get your customer to see the value in what you do. Again, it is not about you just selling. You are building a relationship. That's what sales is all about. Selling is not about take the money and you end relationship. No, you should be able to nurture people that they can always come back, or they can be free to even refer and become your evangelist. Tell people about you, spread the good news. So what are the 4 or 5 ways you can actually sell value and not pricing? Step number 1 is provide customer with great insight. Step number 2, give the customer new perspective. Number 3, help the customer explore other considerable options. Number 4 is help the customer avoid making bad mistakes. No customer will forever forget the guy that saved him some amount of money, save him from making bad decisions. And number 5, help them justify return on investment or take total cost of ownership. I think I want to just leave it here today. And next week, I know it's not going to be all of you that will be here. But if you would like to probably work on your sales skills, you don't learn enough, and you don't learn one strategy and says I've known it and then I go. That's why you are not selling. That's why you're not making money. That's why people are not coming to you. You need to constantly learn. The more you know, the better you become. The more you know, the better you become. That's why no investment in learning is a waste. Always find a way to learn. Meet people who could help you dissect issues or maybe make you look at things differently. I want to leave it here today. And guys, before you all leave, I want to get your feedback. I want to know who got value for what. Tell me your experience in our sessions today. I'm starting with you, Chief Ajibike. Did you get value today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so very much, Coach. The opportunity to network with this distinguished people here. Number 1 value, you can't put money to that. You understand me? Now I know Ndoda. You can't put value to that. Hida, Carl, sorry, I can't pronounce your name. You can't put money to that. But my takeaway is that you've heard it so many times, but every time I have a session like this, there's one word that conveys it to me that I take away with. It says, that my takeaway is sell value, not product. You know, people always chase for customer. I've got the best product. I've got this. Everybody's got a best product. Otherwise, why are they in the market? You understand me? But when you distinguish yourself from not selling the product and selling value, I guess it will do it. Thank you so very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Next person who is going, let's just do this in 60 seconds. Next person, did you get value from today?
Keep learning. I always tell people, I will forever be a student of business. And every time I get the opportunity to learn, I will learn. You know, it matters not the platform. And my key takeaway today, as Ndoda has said, you know, that social media, you know, much like social media, it's not the same as mass media, but it's made up of 1 million or 1 billion one-on-one interactions. And I think the same thing should go for how we deal with our customers. There's a term that I learned recently, and that is to be customer-centric. It's no longer about having the many customers, but it's about having those customers who go through the experience of your products and your services to be properly serviced and to be satisfied, and to allow them, you know, when they say that word of mouth is still the most effective way of marketing even today, what they say that nothing will ever beat a good experience, because you cannot help by you cannot help but tell other people about it. It matters not. You know, you think of back in the day when you would go on a date and then it goes well. I mean, you will want to go back to your friends and tell them about it. So the same thing applies in business as well. If you have any good experience with anything, then it is almost instinctive to tell other people about it. So that's my key takeaway here. Thank you so much.